Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. My sisters and brothers, good evening. This is Dr. Debbie Al Montaser with the show Know Your Candidate. We are so delighted to actually have another candidate. Tonight, we are featuring Bronx candidates. And what we have with us is an incredible Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez, who actually is the councilwoman that has a section of Little Yemen and other parts of the Bronx who will be joining us tonight. But before I bring her on, I wanted to remind everybody that early voting is still on and that election day is June 27th, is coming Tuesday. So if you have not gone out to vote, make sure that you go out to vote on Tuesday. In addition, we want to make sure that you know about all of the candidates that are important, especially for you to know in the borough of the Bronx. I also wanted to let everybody know that this is being aired on Facebook, on YouTube, on in a variety of channels. So thank you for joining us again tonight. And we'll be doing more candidates throughout Election Day. So joining me tonight is Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez, who I want to welcome to say a few words about herself and tell us about the work that she has done so far in the City Council. So Marjorie, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I am Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez. I represent District 13 in the Northeast section of the Bronx. And this is my first term as a council member. And I chair the Consumer Worker Protection Agency Committee. And part of that is making sure that we're keeping folks informed of their rights, not only as consumers, but certainly when we're looking forward to protecting our employees, our workers, and making sure they not only know their rights, but they know that they have a voice inside the City Council. And part of that is actually working with different organizations like Yama when we're talking about not only licensing for our small businesses, but certainly when we're talking about how to make our employees feel more safe. So it is having candid conversations with the district attorney and talking about their programs and what works, and also seeing where we can strengthen our laws to protect anyone who comes and tries to assault our retail workers as well. So those are kind of the things that we've been working on in the City Council and certainly in my committee and here locally. We have been redrawn, or our district has now been shaped up to actually cover all of Little Yemen. And that is a huge deal for us because now it's a united voice. And it gives us an opportunity to work with groups like Yama to not only work with our businesses, but certainly to build up the community and make sure that not only are we making everyone be heard, but also we're developing a plan together and an inclusive plan. Our work together with Yama started way before I even started in office, and it was through the pandemic, making sure that our families had halal food, not peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but real food for our communities, especially during the month of Ramadan. So that's where our journey actually started, and looking forward to having a candid conversation today with Dr. Debbie.
Thank you, Marjorie. We're really delighted to have you here. And I just want for all of our audience to know that I'm here in two capacities, in my senior advisor role for Engage, Action, and PAC, which endorsed you, and also in my role as a Yama Action, which is our C4 political organizing arm. So not here in my Yama capacity, although as you mentioned, you've done a lot of work with Yama, the nonprofit, and we've really been really grateful for all of your support and always raising the bar for us to meet the challenges of our community. Now that you've had a chance to actually, introduce yourself and talk about the work that you are doing, I wanted to, share some demographics to, New York State, or New York City, I should say, has over 1 million Muslims. The borough of the Bronx has a very large Yemeni population, Bengali population, and West African. And in your term And prior to your term, can you share with us some of the work that you've done with these other communities, the Bangladeshi as well as the West African community? We know the work that you've done with the Yemen American community, but would love to, have our audience hear more about you and the work that you've been doing, and how you can, will continue to deepen that work.
Well, it's kind of the similar work, right? When we're talking about elevating voices, it's making sure that we have translators with us when we're doing resource fairs, or just like sharing our resources, making sure that whatever we do produce in writing is language appropriate, right? In that way, look, I am a daughter of Puerto Rican parents, and so I learned Spanish first, and English is my second language. And so having the opportunity to go out to the different communities and having our information shared in the different languages, making sure that the agencies actually have that, it's fighting for those resources. And we look forward to continue engaging that way. And part of it is also making sure that if you don't receive something, please let us know. Because we are always actively engaging within the community, making our voices heard and your voice heard as well. And so that's kind of a two-way street. If you don't see it, let us know, and we will work together to make sure that you have it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Another issue that I know small businesses, and when I talk about small businesses, I'm not just talking about the Yemeni bodegas or the Dominican bodegas, but, the Bronx is also home to a lot of Bangladeshi small business owners, and West African, Muslim small business owners. There's a lot of women braiders across the borough, and then small merchants. And you mentioned that you chair the Department of Consumer Affairs. Can you talk about some of the legislation that you have worked on to help small businesses?
So several bills, and I also sit on the small business committee. So I wear many hats there, and it's just making sure that we are not looking forward to start off with violations, but we're really taking a meaningful approach to all small businesses to give them an opportunity to understand where they can end up getting a violation if they don't fix an issue, right? It's being more proactive within our communities. And so we've done multiple tours through our commercial corridors to make sure that we're speaking to store owners, we're speaking to folks to educate them and say, hey, you know what, you would get a violation for this. Let us help you not only learn how to correct this, but how can we work together? So this way you're learning without getting hurt and dinged, right? Because there are bad actors in this world, right? There are some bad businesses, but the majority of time, there's a lot of good actors out there, and they should be given a chance to correct things without having them to pay and this fine and this violation. And it's very frustrating, especially during a time where every dollar counts, and making sure that we educate first and then build up in that way. So that's one of the things that we've done, and that's the commercial corridor legislation. Right now, we have the outdoor dining bill, and we're looking forward to passing it. And it's basically huge win for the Bronx because we didn't have that many businesses, and this new bill allows folks to eat outdoors. Sidewalk cafes and all that sidewalk will be full year, and it will continue to be full year. And the roadways, which everybody has seen with like the outdoor sheds, if you will, now you have them for 8 months in a year, and also the permanent structures will not be there. And it'll grant our communities an opportunity to really enjoy the outdoor space and eat up. A couple of other bills that we worked on was Skip the Stuff. That was a huge win for the community, where now our small businesses don't have to put all those condiments in a bag. If the consumer doesn't want it, or the consumer wants it, they'll ask for it. In the meantime, if they won't, then you don't have to give it. And that saves our small businesses so much money, and definitely saves our planet. So it's a win-win for the communities.
Can you be a little more specific about the condiments so that way people understand what that is?
So yeah, sure. It's utensils. So any plastic utensils, the forks, the knives, the sporks, and the spoons, and also the ketchup packets. We're thinking, you're looking at the duck sauces, all those side things that usually people tend to throw into the bag, unless now, and this is starting next year, when your consumer wants it, then they should ask for it.
That's really awesome. It definitely will save a lot of a lot of small businesses a lot of money. At the same time, it's going to really make the customer check their bag before they leave to make sure they have all those things. I could tell you that right now I actually go for Afghani food, and they'll throw the hot sauce, they'll throw the green sauce, and they'll throw the white sauce. And I tell them, can you please not give me the green sauce and the hot sauce? I just want the white sauce. And
Yeah, no, it's a
they
better
still give me
way of
everything.
communicating. Yeah, and you could do that through your apps. You could do it when calling in an order, and certainly as you're ordering takeout directly. So it's a way of like really engaging the consumer and empowering them in their voice.
That's really wonderful. Another issue, Councilwoman, that is big for the Muslim community is also the rise in hate crimes. As you know, the Bangladeshi American community is a part of the Asian American Pacific Islander. And, the Arab community, the Yemeni community, we're not necessarily, but we fall under the whole Asian Pacific Islander funding and what have you. I wanted to give you a chance to just talk about what are some of the safeguards that you have taken, taken into consideration with the rise of Asian hate in our city and in the borough of the Bronx. Can you talk a little bit about hate crimes and if there has been any legislation or any actions that you have taken to make sure that people feel safe?
I sit on the budget negotiating team, and certainly this was a priority for us last year and this year to fully fund the initiative, which is an anti-hate initiative, right? It's not just only the AAPI community as well, and as a Latina, I've seen it in the district, folks on City Island, multiple businesses that are Black owned, that are Latino owned, and a Jewish owned, all received this one really gross letter that was filled with hate. And so what we did as a community is work with NYPD to not only find the person who committed this, but certainly educate owners on what to do when they receive hate mail and how you can go about it. We also had multiple sit downs within the community of expressing and uniting folks, right, from different backgrounds to make sure that we're having these candid conversations of what does hate look like in an everyday, and how do you report it, and actually how do you build up the community, right? It's easy to go ahead and talk about the negative stuff, but I think it's on us to bring up the good stuff, right? It's on us to talk about love. It's on us to talk about faith over fear, right? And that is what empowers a community, certainly. And we come together and make sure that we're bringing up each other. And it is through our lens of love, our faith, right? In people, in humanity, that we're going to just get these folks out. The ones who want to preach hate, we're not here for that. The ones that want to keep on dividing us, we're not here for that. And we're not here for those people. I'm sorry. If you have hate in your heart, you shouldn't really mess with us anymore, right? Like, we're going to win this like love contest, right? We're going to build it up one day at a time with preaching about love, talking about love, and showing it in what it looks like in our diverse community, because we're better than this hate.
Great. Thank you. Another issue that is very near and dear to the communities that I have mentioned is also language access and representation. This is something really huge. Can you talk to us about any advocacy work that you've been doing on language access and also representation, where we see more people that reflect the city being a part of the workforce?
So it is having an opportunity, first of all, to let people know what is out there, what kind of jobs are out there. So it is investing in career fairs and working with different council members to have these career fairs. And while at it, at these career fairs, actually having the opportunity to talk about the benefits, right, of being bilingual, trilingual, right, multilingual. And that is kind of where our communities really need to know that this is your moment. This is your time to work with the city. We need all voices to be heard and also represented when you're talking about government and meaningful careers within it. So we have had multiple career fairs. It's one way. Also talking about resource fairs, talking about even citizenship fairs, right? Where we work with CUNY now, CUNY Citizenship Now, which is an organization that literally walks you through the process wherever you may be with your citizenship application. And so that way we also have that ability so folks understand what's available to them, and we make sure that it is in multiple languages. And so we do have legislation in place already talking about what is required, and certainly language access and communication is key.
Wonderful, wonderful. So can you share with us what your future plans are for your second term? We'd love to hear what your priorities are, as this is something that's important to all of our viewers.
It's multiple, right? 2 more years, right? It would be. So we would begin in 2024, and I would represent from 2024 to 2026. And that's your 2-year term. Then what we're also talking about is the plans, right? My plan specifically is increasing public safety and education in that world, making sure that we're not only funding our NYPD, but that we're providing enough resources so our storefronts are no longer empty, that our streetlights are lit, that our resources and infrastructure are there for our communities, whether it is having more firefighters, having more just opportunities, traffic easement, parking spaces, these things, these are all quality of life issues that we are addressing. And when we're talking about developments that are coming into the district, having these candid conversations to make sure that our families come first when it comes to applying into new housing, and definitely getting those jobs right during construction, and certainly management ones afterwards. You know, it is a full circle, and it's our opportunity for that. And lastly, education, making sure that we have and we continue to build up our schools, and having the priority and feeling that our kids are not only getting the best education, but they're protected while in school and outside of school with the best programs available, hands down.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. You talked somewhat about safety. Can you elaborate a little bit more on public safety? Because this is something that is very near and dear to all the small businesses. And we know that public safety as well as theft has been a big issue. If there is any work that you are doing on that, can you share with us what you've been doing?
Multiple things. One, it was increasing the number of officers in the 45th precinct, and certainly advocating to have more officers in the 49th. That's one. Having additional cars. We found out about what was happening in Morris Park and that strings of theft. And so what we did, we asked for additional patrol cars. And by we, it's me working hand in hand with Borough President Vanessa Gibson, and she has been an amazing partner through this. Also working with District Attorney Darcel Clark in her ways of like educating small businesses and how to work with not only NYPD but also with her office to assure that workers are safe, that businesses are safe, and that they know who to turn to for what. So that way we expedite the process as need be. When we're talking about so funding the cops, there's also in this district Rodman's Neck, which is currently a shooting range, but with a training facility there. And so we have been working with the administration, the mayor's office, to not only fully fund that, but certainly when we're talking about a training facility, having it state of the art for our officers to understand and really train in better conditions so that they know what's going to happen in the streets and they're better prepared. And that's certainly something that benefits us all. Also working with the NYPD to have this pilot program within our communities. And this pilot program in our precincts basically extends the hours that our officers are working. So their tours are now anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. And so this is a 45th precinct, 47th precinct, Transit District 11, and PSAH. So those are the 4 that are starting off with this, and allowing to have longer tours has the ability to have more officers present. And so that is also another bonus for our communities that we were chosen as the district to first start this, and we're really benefiting from that. On two fronts, right? Our officers have a better schedule and work week, and then also our communities feel more safer knowing that the police presence is there.
That's really wonderful. Thank you for sharing all that. I had no idea that you were working so closely with the precinct. I'm really making a much more making visibility much more available for these small businesses. We are coming to our end, and I want to thank you for coming tonight, for joining us. We wish you the best of luck on your race. We know that early voting ends tomorrow. And so we want to make sure that everyone who hasn't gone out to vote, make sure to go out and vote tomorrow, since early voting is still here. In addition to that, June 27th, which is Tuesday, is election day. Make your voice heard at the ballot box by making sure to go out and vote. I would like now to turn it back to our candidate and give her the opportunity to give some closing remarks before I close us out.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Debbie, for allowing me to have this platform and communicating not only with everyone, but also giving everyone the sense of faith back, faith in each other as neighbors, and faith in this community, in this district, and knowing that you have a representative like myself who, I'm historic, right? I'm the first Latina to represent the seat, and hopefully not the last of many, many diverse voices that deserve to be heard and represented in this district. And that's what brings us together. It is this diversity that has uplifted us, and we're going to keep on building up our communities and addressing each issue hand in hand, and making sure that faith triumphs over fear all the time. So I thank you so much for this opportunity, and look forward to working with you all. And let's get to the polls. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Correction. First Latina and also first woman in the district?
No, so Madeline Provenzano represented before Councilmember Jimmy Vaca.
Okay, great. So then you are the first woman in the district.
Second woman, right? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Still historic. So thank you again for joining us. We wish you the best of luck. Again, my sisters and brothers out there, make sure that you go out and vote. Make your voice heard. If I say that 3 times, it's going to start sounding crazy. But again, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, ITV, for hosting Know Your Candidate. Stay tuned. There will be other candidates that we are going to be featuring in the next few days to make sure that you know who your candidate is. So that way, when you go to the ballot box, you already have made up your mind who you're going to vote for. Thank you again, Councilwoman, and we wish you the best of luck. And everyone, have a great evening.
Thank you.